On a clear day over India, an Air India Boeing 787 Dreamliner suddenly pitched violently, its advanced systems losing control. Passengers and crew were hurled against the ceiling in a terrifying moment that shattered the calm. This wasn't a storm or pilot error, it was the machine itself, a marvel of engineering, turning unpredictable. The incident ended without a crash, but it was a symptom of a deeper crisis within Boeing. Investigators called it a software glitch, but for industry insiders, it was part of a disturbing trend. The Dreamliner, once celebrated as revolutionary, was now revealing a darker side. The Air India event exposed problems whispered about for years. A legendary company, once known for engineering excellence, now prioritizing stock prices over safety. The world was forced to confront the reality that the planes overhead might not be as safe as assumed. This single event became a lens for a broader crisis, one of manufacturing, quality control, and corporate identity. The Dreamliner, symbol of a new era, was now a warning about corporate hubris and the cost of cutting corners. The questions were no longer about a single glitch but about the integrity of the entire system, from design to assembly. The Dream had become a source of anxiety, a flying testament to broken promises. The violent plunge was a physical expression of a corporate nosedive. The unraveling had begun, and the world was watching. The 787's crisis was not about isolated incidents but a web of systemic failures. Boeing's push to cut costs led to outsourcing major sections to a global network of suppliers. This strategy, meant to be efficient, became a logistical nightmare. Parts arrived with defects, mismatched and needing rework. Responsibility was diffused. When defects appeared, blame was hard to assign. Shims, tiny but critical, were often missing or misapplied, threatening the airframe's integrity. Pressure to meet production targets meant planes moved down the line with known defects, to be fixed later. The focus shifted from building it right to just getting it out the door. This was a radical departure from Boeing's old culture of engineering precision. The result, an aircraft plagued by structural weaknesses, software bugs, and faulty systems. Each problem was a thread in a larger tapestry of failure, woven by a company that had lost its way. The Dreamliner's faults were widespread and alarming. Electrical fires and lithium-ion batteries led to a global grounding early in its service. Water leaks dripped onto sensitive electronics, risking short circuits. Software glitches caused autopilot failures and even uncommanded dives, corrected only by quick-thinking pilots. The complexity of millions of lines of code made bugs hard to find and fix. Structural defects, like improperly fitted shims, created stress points that could weaken the airframe over time. The composite materials meant to be revolutionary were compromised before the plane even left the factory. Even emergency systems malfunctioned, like a ram air turbine deploying on the ground without command. Each issue was a piece of a larger puzzle, a plane pushed into service before it was truly ready. The Dreamliner's revolutionary promise was undermined by flawed execution. Safety was sacrificed for speed and cost. The result, a machine that could not be fully trusted. The true extent of the 787's problems emerged thanks to whistleblowers inside Boeing. Seasoned engineers and inspectors described immense pressure to overlook defects and prioritize speed. John Barnett, a former quality manager, revealed dangerous practices, substandard parts, faulty oxygen systems, and a culture that punished those who raised concerns. Sam Salapur testified that fuselage sections were improperly fastened, with workers using crude methods to force alignment. These voices painted a picture of a company at war with itself, engineers fighting management obsessed with financial metrics. Whistleblowers' warnings, once ignored, became crucial evidence of a crisis born from deliberate choices. They were the conscience of a company that had lost its own. The FAA, America's aviation regulator, is supposed to be the public safeguard. Yet, with the 787 and earlier the 737 MAX, the watchdog was asleep. The FAA delegated much of its oversight to Boeing itself, creating a conflict of interest. Boeing employees, under corporate pressure, signed off on their own work. This eroded the separation between regulator and regulated. The FAA approved risky systems and processes, often reacting only after incidents or whistleblower revelations. Investigations came too late, and reforms lagged. Trust in the FAA as an impartial regulator was severely damaged. The agency's culture of collaboration with industry allowed a dangerous status quo to persist. To understand Boeing's decline, look back to its 1997 merger with McDonnell Douglas. Though billed as a Boeing acquisition, many insiders saw it as a reverse takeover. The engineering-first culture was replaced by a focus on cost-cutting and shareholder value. Headquarters moved from Seattle to Chicago, separating leadership from the factory floor. Experienced engineers were pushed out, unions weakened, and financial metrics took precedence. The decision to heavily outsource the 787 was a direct result of this new thinking. The ghost of McDonnell Douglas haunted Boeing, prioritizing short-term gains over long-term quality. The seeds of the 787 crisis were sown in this cultural shift. Engineering excellence was replaced by financial engineering. The consequences would be felt for years to come. The global aircraft market is a battle between Boeing and Airbus. While both face challenges, Airbus has avoided the kind of self-inflicted crises that have engulfed Boeing. Airbus maintains tighter control over its supply chain and is more cautious in design changes. This has led to more consistent quality and clearer accountability. Airbus's incremental approach contrasts with Boeing's risky leaps. The result? Airbus's reputation for safety remains largely intact, while Boeing's has been battered. The tale of these two giants is now a case study in the consequences of corporate culture. One kept its focus on product integrity, the other lost its way. The deepest impact of the 787 crisis is the erosion of trust. Passengers now board Dreamliners with doubt. Pilots question the reliability of their planes. Airlines promised efficiency and reliability, instead face delays and costly groundings. The business relationship with Boeing has become strained and adversarial. Most critically, trust in the FAA has been broken, prompting other regulators to impose stricter reviews. The once harmonious global system of safety certification is fractured. Rebuilding trust will require more than apologies. It demands a fundamental transformation of Boeing's culture and regulatory oversight. Until then, every incident will be magnified, every new plane scrutinized. The shadow of doubt will linger over Boeing. Restoring trust will be a long, difficult journey. Despite investigations and fixes, unresolved dangers still haunt the 787 fleet. Core issues of structural integrity may not be fully correctable. Over 1,000 Dreamliners fly today, each built under a flawed system. A full recall is impossible. The industry relies on inspections and patches to manage risk. The unknowns, failures yet to emerge, remain a constant threat. The same cultural failures led to the 737 MAX disasters, showing the problem is systemic. Without a true overhaul, future aircraft may inherit the same defects. The specter that haunts the 787 is the risk that the next crisis is already being built. The Boeing crisis marks a crossroads for American aviation. Once a symbol of innovation and safety, Boeing's decline threatens the nation's industrial leadership. If reforms aren't made, the U.S. could lose its edge to Airbus or new competitors. The path to redemption requires a radical transformation, re-empowering engineers, rebuilding quality control, and ending unhealthy supply chain dependence. This is about rediscovering the company's soul, not just tweaking processes. Leadership must accept lower short-term profits for long-term survival. The FAA must also be reformed, fully funded, independent, and focused solely on safety. The era of cozy relationships must end, replaced by rigorous oversight. The future of American aviation depends on choices made now. The nation can manage decline or seize this crisis as a chance for a fundamental reset. The safety of millions and the legacy of an industry hang in the balance.